You're listening to Turi Ryder's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marci Persky. In this installment, Marci and I are gearing up for the political season, which seems to involve not much that makes any sense. Also, the soul cat finds a home, and who are the crystal people? Well, you had a day of volunteering, and I had a day of volunteering. How was your day of volunteering?
Let me tell you. I volunteered to work a phone bank for an organization I shall not name. And I had to call people who live in my town. It was definitely wackadoodle time. I would say 99% went straight to voicemail.
Yeah.
Because most people nowadays do not answer the phone if they don't recognize a number.
The wackadoodles, you would imagine, would be more likely to answer because an unknown number could be that the Publishers Clearinghouse is arranging to deliver their $1 million, or Elvis has come back and wants to speak to them personally, or they're just lonely because they're so nutty that everyone they've ever met is avoiding them now.
That's true, too.
So you didn't go someplace to an office to volunteer to make phone calls?
No, I did it right here over the computer. And you go into like this super secret VPN, whatever thing.
Yeah.
And they give you a list of numbers to call and descriptions of the people that you're calling.
Does it say wackadoodle in the left-hand column?
It does where I wrote notes. Yeah, it was, I don't know. I dread them, but I feel like I have to do it.
Yeah. When I have volunteered for political campaigns, your volunteer gig is just to call people and remind them to go out and vote or to send in their ballot. And people get their knickers in a twist and they scream at you and yell at you. And you're just asking them a yes or no question, really. My favorite thing is when they say, you people are always calling, you don't stop calling. And my standard response is, well, you just go out and vote. Then we'll stop calling you. If you vote,
I got a lot of those.
Mark your name off the list, and then we don't bother you anymore to get out the vote. So
it was a political organization, not fringe. And
well, that's debatable nowadays.
Yeah, true. Everybody on this list was supposed to be a member of that party. And they still got mad. Just like, maybe I'll just write letters.
Yeah, the postcard thing. I did the postcard thing. I think that was just busy work for middle-aged, privileged stay or work from home ladies. Those postcards, because I don't
just throw those out.
Yeah, I think I spent a heck of a lot of money and bought a heck of a lot of stamps. I actually think the post office may have been behind it, because if I were the post office and my coffers were a little low, I would come up with something like, let's get a bunch of privileged middle-aged ladies to write an S-ton of postcards that are going to wind up in the garbage can at their own expense, the postcards and the stamps. And, I was so proud of myself. My hand about fell off to get people to go out and vote. And, it was really scary. I had all these addresses in remote places I've never even heard of, in remote states I've never even been to. And just out of curiosity, I looked up a couple of these addresses on Google Earth. Don't do that. Don't. You'll lose.
And did you use your home address up in the corner as the return address?
I think they tell you not to do that.
Isn't that kind of like me using a program that doesn't give my phone number?
No, because I'm not asking anybody to interrupt their day to take my postcard.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I keep those postcards. And I write notes all over them for our podcast.
Oh, good. Okay. So you got some of those postcards from people?
Oh, I have gazillions of postcards, political, and do you need new windows?
Oh, the windows.
I got a ton of those.
Problem with the Windows solicitation is it's shiny. You can't reuse it. Your pen just slides right off. Plus, it's got a lot of colors on it. You can't read your own shopping list on there. But the spousal unit, The spousal unit is the king of writing things on scrippy scraps of old envelopes so that he hands you a
That's me.
carefully crafted shopping list and you go, oh, see, recycle. You get to the store and like, where's the shopping list? And you call home and you say to the spousal unit, didn't you hand me a shopping list? And he says, yeah, I wrote it on the back of an old utility bill envelope.
Yay.
Of course I
That's
would.
me.
Yeah, I could find that so easily amongst all the other old envelopes that are out in the recycling bin in the alley. Thank you.
I write on everything, including like stuff that has to go back to maybe the IRS. It's got notes on the back on which cat needs to be spayed, and call the toilet guy, and and then I'm like, oh, so I just fill out the front and say, hey, government.
It must be that in the same way that when we make volunteer calls, whether it's for an animal rescue or for a political organization, you're constantly shocked and disturbed at the people amongst whom you live. I'm sure the IRS feels similarly about looking at the forms they get back. That's got to happen more often than we would care to think about, that people just use their tax forms for scratch paper and then send them in.
I tend to write everything in pencil.
I think that's so bizarre.
I
So bizarre.
How bizarre, how bizarre.
It takes more
Yes, I
effort.
use pencils.
Yeah, I think
Well,
it
then I can
bespeaks
erase stuff.
it bespeaks a lack of commitment on your part. If you really mean
Oh,
it,
it
you
really
should use a
does.
pen.
No, 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 no. Pencils are my best friend. I just bought 100 of them from Amazon.
Pencils give me goosebumps like chalk. Oh, oof, eh. Even the thought, like as I'm sitting here talking to you, the mention of pencils gives me goosebumps. So you volunteered and you feel like you wasted an hour and 45 minutes, but you're a good
Yeah, I
human
did.
being. Did you get even one positive response to your effort today?
Two.
Two. Two.
And they were both women in their 20s.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you encouraging people, without mentioning a party or a candidate or a cause, are you encouraging people to vote at all or vote for a particular person or on a particular issue?
I am encouraging them to vote a straight party ticket.
Ah, okay.
Several told me they were in the other party and
Really?
started to give me lectures, and I was like, oh, gotta go.
I'm still getting text messages from the person whose precinct I walked several years ago, and I have to decide if I want to go walk that precinct again. I will say there were some moments of satisfaction when I went out to explain to people why it was important that they vote. There was one woman who was a grandmother, and she was clearly babysitting kids who were a little too much for her to handle. You could
Mm-hmm.
hear them burning down the house in the background. And she said, well, I've got that absentee ballot around here somewhere. Why does it matter? And I explained to her why it mattered. And she said, all right, then I'll find it. I think it's near the toaster. And I was very happy. And then there was this other woman. She was obviously coming home from work. She had her sweats on. I still remember she had little pink sparkly house slippers and
Nice.
and white sweats, something clever on the front of the sweatshirt. She answered the door, and I said, I'm at your door to remind you to. She goes, absolutely. I've had it with these people. And she just launched into this. That's enough. And you could tell that she was making a change, that she had done one thing all her life, and now she was going to do something different. And she was so angry at the people she'd thrown in her lot with before. I felt better about my whole world after that.
Well, I used to do the whole walking thing pre-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
but we did not knock on doors because
You'll get shot where you live. They'll
exactly.
mistake
So
you for a coyote and they'll shoot you.
we made these beautiful door hangers, and you basically hang it on a fence if the fence was closed, or hang it on the door and then sprint to the next house. And it was good exercise. And I'm glad, and I'm glad that the big elections are always in November because it's not too hot out.
Yes,
But
that's true.
but yes, everybody's armed and nobody's in agreement.
It's very
But
difficult now. It
I did
is.
my duty for that.
good, good. I'm getting a little bit exhausted from it. I feel like we should just slow down the election cycle a little bit. Just maybe, you know how when you give your dog medicine every month, but you figure out if you just give your dog medicine every 5 weeks, you can save an entire, it's kind of like paying your mortgage off early, only in reverse. They're always
Yeah.
telling you, just make one extra mortgage payment. And by the end of 10 years, you will have paid your house off and saved. So for me, I give the heartworm pill like every 5 weeks, and it saves me a pill every year. I don't know why this is important to me. Because I'm cheap, maybe. But I feel like we need to just slow the elections down a little. Just maybe like move it back a week and then another week. And then eventually I'll have enough time to get to all the places I'm supposed to go knock on the doors. But
I'm just over the political commercials.
we're not
They
having any here.
drive me nuts.
We
I
don't
know
have,
you don't watch
no,
regular
I
TV like
don't.
we do. We're old school.
Oh,
But
don't.
yes, the political commercials drive me nuts. But I'm trying to be smarter about stuff that I volunteer for, except for this Monday.
What is it? Cats on Parade or something? Cats on Ice?
remember the whole show we did on like the girl who can't say no? It's always getting roped into stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, well, here I go again.
Now what?
I have 40 cats or
No!
kittens that
No,
need
no.
to be they need to
Again?
be spayed and neutered and get their rabies. And my driver has COVID. My other driver is going to a funeral, and I begged and I cried and I pleaded and I got down on my knees, and no one else would drive. So I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Are you driving to Utah again?
No, I'm going to Scottsdale,
Okay.
which is only 3 hours.
Only.
And then I know, and then I have to wait in Scottsdale until they're all finished,
Oh my goodness.
load them back
It
up,
must
and
be like
come back up the
Lucy.
mountain.
It must be like that Lucy and Ethel thing in the chocolate factory. They must neuter and spay these cats. Like, I don't even want to think about how fast they do it. So, what about the lady with the soul cat?
Okay, so
Wait, for those who haven't heard, there's a woman who got in touch with Marci because some pet psychic told her that her soul cat was waiting for her. And Marci, aka Patsy of the century, goes down to the rescue and takes 27 photographs of any black kitten they've got within their 4 walls and sends them to this crazy lady. So, what happened?
I met with her
And,
and brought out the cat that she picked out from the picture,
uh-huh.
and it turned out to be her soul cat. They are soulmates. This is her kitten. They looked into each other's eyes, and sparkles flew all over, and confetti came down from the sky. There were hearts and flowers. So she is going to foster the cat
Ah,
until it's big enough to be spayed,
okay.
and then she'll do an adoption.
So what makes you so sure that she's not going to see Elvis in her bathroom mirror and decide that she and the cat are taken off for Mexico or something?
I don't think she will.
Okay. Her soul cat is with her now.
Yeah, the people that believe in that kind of stuff are generally like pretty honest. The crystals people, and
Oh
you know,
no, I don't believe. I will tell you why I know that's not true. We bought our house. I won't say which religion, but she's like a faith healer in a very large religion actually. She advertises herself as healing, and she built this spiritual garden behind the house, designed, she told us when we bought the house, especially for her faith healing work. She was the biggest swindler I've ever dealt with in my life.
yeah, well, I don't believe in healers.
She put in sheetrock over places where water was coming in, and when we found out what she had done, you have to go to arbitration, and she had a whole racket thing going. She'd hire a lawyer, she'd fire the lawyer, not pay the lawyer. She was like that joke about what's the definition of nerve? A guy who kills his mother and father and throws himself on the mercy of the court as a poor orphan.
That's not like the crystal thing. I mean,
What's the difference between a crystal thing and a faith healer? What is the difference?
well, because a healer claims that they can heal people.
Well, so do the crystal
It's
people.
not science.
Science?
Oh, crystals are pretty.
The scientific element is completely eluding me here. You're going to have to explain this to me at some point. If you've made it this far, chances are you've been enjoying Turi Ryder's She Said What podcast. In which case, you might also like my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air. You can find that at your neighborhood independent bookstore or on Amazon. Marci and I really appreciate your good reviews wherever you care to leave them. Your kind words help the podcast grow. Thanks.